At this hour, we are tracking huge, multiple big breaking stories on multiple fronts. We start tonight with a massive development out of the Mueller partisan witch hunt. Tonight, more evidence has emerged that Bob Mueller's 448-page report was nothing but pure political garbage full of errors put there purposefully. According to a brand new breaking story, John Solomon, some of the very keys of Mueller's assertions are totally and provably false. For example, the Mueller report describes Paul Manafort's Ukrainian business partner as a shady individual with ties to Russian intelligence. Now, Mueller wanted us all to believe that the Trump campaign was essentially in bed with a Russian spy, but tonight, thanks to Solomon, well, we now know that it is total BS, and yeah, you might want to call it even Mueller fake news. Now, Manafort's business partner was actually a sensitive intelligence source for the U.S. State Department. That's a big difference. So how and why did Mueller and his team purposely deceive we, the American people? Now, in fact, he visited the U.S. twice in 2016 to meet with State Department officials, and for years he regularly met with the chief political officer inside the U.S. Embassy in Kiev. Now, Mueller had all the access to all this information, which means that he and his merry band of all Democratic donors, no Republican donors, all Trump haters, that means they lied in that report. And get this, Mueller cast a dark shadow on this individual's request to present a Ukrainian peace plan to the Trump campaign in 2016. But guess what John Solomon discovered? Well, he discovered that the very same plan was presented to the Obama administration the very same year, and Mueller's team knew it. Now, Mueller, why would he print that? Solomon is not the first reporter now to raise these concerns. He will not be the last. Now, what this ends up being is outright deception, outright lying from Mueller and, of course, his Democratic donor friends that he appointed. Now, just the latest in what is a very disturbing pattern of lies, misinformation, character assassination, because remember on Monday, we first reported that Mueller deceptively edited a transcript from former Trump attorney John Dowd, who was on this program and called that report a fraud. And during a privileged routine call between attorneys, remember, they originally had a joint defense agreement. Well, Mueller conveniently omitted Dowd's statement that his request for communication was, quote, not only for the president, but for the country, and that he was not asking for any confidential information. That exculpatory evidence was totally ripped out. That is a classic Andrew Weissman, Mueller's pit bull, his tactics. You may remember Sidney Powell's book, License to Lie. Weissman, on multiple occasions, had withheld exculpatory evidence in the past. Why was he ever appointed? And that's not all. Let's not forget Mueller's 9-minute-long diatribe just last week when the media got all ginned up and they were full of hope and fear, hope and anticipation that they finally got the president. Well, that ended up being debunked a few hours later because, in fact, for the DOJ policy, indicting a sitting president was never a consideration. And Mueller had said that numerous times. So his press conference was an absolute contradiction of everything he had said. And remember, in a joint statement hours later, the DOJ, that means Attorney General Barr, the special counsel's office, they were forced to totally walk back and clarify the 9.5 minutes that Mueller was commenting. And they ended up reaffirming, quote, that the special counsel's report and his statement today made clear that the office concluded it would not reach a determination one way or the other about whether the president committed a crime. It had nothing to do with Justice Department policy of whether you can or cannot indict a sitting president. In other words, everything Mueller said in 9.5 minutes was false, it was phony, it was fake, it was innuendo, and Attorney General Barr pretty much bailed him out. And in that press conference, he really was begging Nadler not to testify or be subpoenaed because he knows that he has to answer questions from Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, Devin Nunes, who will join us in a few minutes. He doesn't want to answer questions like, well, Mr. Mueller, when did you know there was no collusion? And when you found out, why didn't you end this witch hunt? And by the way, why did you only hire hardcore Democratic donors, including former Hillary Clinton attorney for the Clinton Foundation? Why would you ever hire a guy like Andrew Weissman, who got tens of thousands of Enron accounting execs fired and then lost in the Supreme Court 9-0, and then had 4 Merrill executives put in jail for a year, and that was overturned by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Why we would appoint somebody like Weissman, known for atrocious conduct, actually attended Hillary Clinton's so-called victory party on election night. Didn't work out well. So the pattern is clear. What we see now time and time again, the special counsel manipulates information to unjustly impugn a duly elected president of the United States. And by the way, if Mueller had time for taxi medallions and loan applications and FARA violations and so forth, why didn't he have time for the dirty Russian dossier that Hillary Clinton paid for, that's full of Russian lies and disinformation that actually was used to influence the American people? No excuse for that. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction on the Trump campaign's part. There was no conspiracy. All the Trump haters on Mueller's team, well, they just reverted to Plan B. That's a 448-page smear campaign. They created a document definitely intended to fuel even more lies, more conspiracy theories from Democrats and, of course, their allies in the abusively biased and corrupt media mob. It was a political hit job from the beginning through and through. And the president was right. It always was a witch hunt. And as far as Mueller's concerned, mission accomplished.